Gardaí at Middleton Garda Station are investigating the disappearance of Tina Satchwell from Youghal in County Cork, who was last seen in March of 2017.
For 6.5 years, he stood before cameras as the devoted, broken husband, his voice shaking, his eyes welling with tears at just the right moment. He pleaded with the public, asking for help, begging his wife to come home.
Tina, come home. There's nobody mad at you. My arms are open.
The world believed him. Journalists showed sympathy. Neighbors offered prayers. What no one knew was that the truth was far closer than anyone imagined. Each time he walked through his home, his footsteps echoed above the place where she had been hidden all along. His wife was never missing. She was beneath the very house where he continued to perform his grief. Every appeal he made, every emotional statement, was delivered while standing above her grave. Tina Satchwell was 45 years old when she vanished in March 2017. She was born Tina Dingan on November 30, 1972, in Fermoy, County Cork, Ireland. She was a petite woman, standing 5 feet 4 inches tall, with shoulder-length blonde hair and striking blue eyes. Her disappearance would go on to shock a nation and expose a chilling truth hidden in plain sight. Tina had a Tweety bird tattoo on her chest and a belly button piercing that her friends and family knew well. People who knew her described her as bright, bubbly, and beautiful. She had a warm personality and made people feel comfortable around her. Tina's early life was complicated. She was raised by her grandmother, Florence Dingan, and believed Florence was her mother. When Tina was older and preparing for her confirmation, she searched for her birth certificate and learned the truth. Her biological mother was Mary Collins. The woman she had believed was her sister. The discovery was very painful for her. Even so, Tina stayed close to the grandmother who had raised her with love. Fashion was very important to Tina. She loved clothes and jewelry and had a sharp eye for style. Upstairs in her home, she kept hundreds of outfits on clothing racks. Many still had the price tags on them. Tina often bought clothes, wore them once, and then sold them at car boot sales around County Cork. These sales were not just about making money. They were social events where Tina enjoyed talking to people she knew. Tina always looked well dressed. Sometimes she even matched her outfits with her Chihuahua, Ruby and her other dog, Heidi, along with her parrot Valentine, were like her children. Tina loved animals deeply and was rarely seen without her pets. This love started when she was young, as animals often followed her around in Fermoy. She also loved the sea. Tina enjoyed swimming and spending time at the beach. That is one reason she loved living near the coast in Youghal. Those close to Tina knew she had many sides to her personality. Although Tina seemed bubbly and social, she was actually quite shy and preferred to keep to herself. In 2012, Tina's brother Tom died by suicide. His death deeply affected her. Tina struggled with the loss, and in 2014 she bought Ruby the Chihuahua to help her cope with her grief. Tina met Richard Satchwell on March 3, 1989, in Colville near Leicester, England. She was 17 years old. Richard was 22. Richard later told his brother that the moment he saw Tina, he knew he would marry her. He described her as a trophy wife and said she was out of his league. They began dating almost immediately. Richard proposed in October 1989 at Mount Pleasant, overlooking Youghal Bay. They married on Tina's 20th birthday, November 30, 1991, in Oldham, England. Their marriage, however, came with a serious cost. Richard's family was anti-Irish and gave him an ultimatum: choose them or choose Tina. Richard chose Tina and cut off contact with his mother completely. None of his family attended the wedding. While this might sound romantic, it was the first sign of the isolation that would later define their relationship. Richard was a lorry driver from Leicester and appeared obsessed with Tina. He said he worshipped her and believed she was physically perfect, calling her his beautiful Irish rose. Tina's half-sister, Lorraine Howard, later described Richard as obsessive, possessive, controlling, and strange. He criticized every friend Tina made, slowly pushing people out of her life. He wanted to know where she was at all times. Tina told Lorraine that she felt trapped and believed she could never leave him because he would follow her anywhere. Over time, Tina's world became smaller, until it was just her and Richard, exactly how he wanted it. The couple moved from England to Fermoy, County Cork, in the early 1990s. In 2016, they sold their Fermoy home and bought a house at 3 Grattan Street in Youghal for €52,000. Moving in that May, the move further isolated Tina from her family and from the Fermoy community, where she had been well known and loved. In Youghal, Tina was barely known. Neighbors rarely saw her alone and almost never without Richard. The couple struggled financially. They lived on social welfare, with Richard listed as Tina's dependent. Their joint bank account was often overdrawn. Richard also had a criminal past. Between 1999 and 2004, he had 14 previous convictions. These included theft, social welfare fraud, larceny, and public order offenses. In December 2002, he served 1 month in Cork prison for social welfare fraud. On Sunday, March 19, 2017, Tina and Richard attended a car boot sale at Carrotwell, County Cork, about 35 kilometers from their home in Youghal. Tina was in a good mood. She bought a black jacket, a dress, and an expensive perfume. 4 days later, on Friday, March 24, 2017, Richard drove 43 kilometers to Fermoy Garda Station to report Tina missing. He did not go to his local Garda station in Youghal. Garda Connor Gately later described Richard as calm and matter-of-fact, showing little emotion. Richard told Garda that Tina had left home on Monday morning, March 20th. He said he made her breakfast around 9:20 a.m., which included tea, toast, and fruit with yogurt. According to Richard, Tina then asked him to drive to Aldi in Dungarvan, about 30 kilometers away, to buy fish and parrot food for their parrot, Valentine. He claimed he left the house between 10 o'clock and 10:30 a.m. and returned around noon. When he got back, he said Tina was gone.
28 years we've been together, 25 years married, and it's just completely odd. It's just completely thrown me because it's so totally out of character for her. Well, she got up in the morning, I did my usual thing, cup of tea, slice of toast, and she asked me if I'd drop over to Dungarvan, which is only like 20 minutes drive away. And when I returned, something like 2 hours later, she just wasn't there. I found her keys on the ground as I went through the front door. So I just said she's gone out for a walk. And when she didn't come back, naturally you get a bit sickly feeling, I suppose. We'd had conversations of late, so I said, right, she's gone down to a member family in Fermoy. So I give her a couple of days. I had to go down to visit my doctor on the Friday. And then when I found out nobody had seen her, it was like everything just fell away. You know, it's just totally odd that there's been nobody say or seen her, you know, especially with living here on the main road. My original thoughts is she got up to have a break, to get her head straight, because she's been very upset in recent months. She's had a few crises within the family over the last few years. You know, I think it took its toll, and that's why I think she got up and walked out.
He told Garda that 2 suitcases were missing, along with €26,000 in cash that he claimed was kept in a box in the attic. When Richard was told that Tina's family had not seen or heard from her, he showed only mild concern. He continued to say that Tina had left on her own. At first, Garda treated the case as a simple inquiry into someone who had left home, not as a formal missing person investigation. It was not until May 11, 2017, almost 2 months after Tina disappeared, that Richard officially filed a missing person report. He spoke with Garda James Butler and provided photographs so Tina's case could be shared with the media. But Richard did not report her missing and stay quiet. Instead, he began a long and very public media campaign that would last for years. To viewers, it looked like a desperate plea from a loving husband. In another interview on July 14, 2017, Richard said he had never lifted a finger to Tina during their 28 years together.
I have never once, in nearly 30 years of being together, laid a finger on her. The most I've ever done to her is having a tight cuddle, loving the bones off her. One day, my wife is going to turn back up, or she's going to get in touch with the Gardaí. One way or another, this will all come out, and in time it'll all prove that I've done nothing wrong.
He repeated many times that Tina would eventually turn up or get in touch. He said he was willing to take a lie detector test.
If I was asked to take a lie detector test, I would take one. My house was searched without my knowledge. And the Gardaí didn't find anything to suggest anything untoward. I live on a main street, so my coming and going's a scene. So, I don't know why people are being so malicious.
Are you an innocent man?
I am. I'm innocent. I'm innocent of any wrongdoing.
However, when one was offered to him live on radio, he refused, saying he felt tired and unwell. Throughout all his interviews, Richard told the same story. He described himself as a caring husband and claimed Tina was unstable. He said that after her brother Tom's death in 2012, she had become troubled and violent. This story was strongly denied by Tina's family, friends, and medical records. Richard's behavior after Tina disappeared also raised concern. On March 30, 2017, just 10 days after she was last seen, he sent a text to her cousin, Sarah Howard, offering her a large chest freezer. The next day, he advertised the freezer online, saying it was free and in good working condition. By late April and early May 2017, Richard began selling Tina's belongings at car boot sales. These were the same places Tina loved and regularly attended. He sold her clothes, her Dr. Martens boots, her bags, and other personal items. When people asked where Tina was, Richard gave different explanations. He said she had gone to England for treatment because of a serious infection caused by dry rot in the house. He told others she was very sick, had lost a lot of weight, or had a serious breathing illness and could no longer attend car boot sales. The clothes Tina bought on the last day she was seen, the black jacket and the dress, were later found hanging over a door in their living room. They had never been worn. The first major Garda search of 3 Grattan Street took place on June 7, 2017, less than 3 months after she disappeared. By late May, Sergeant John Chai already suspected that something criminal may have happened. A search warrant was obtained in case Tina had been injured or was in danger. The search lasted around 12 hours and was described as thorough. Gardaí examined the home carefully. The photographs taken during the search would later prove haunting. They showed new, unpainted stairs, fresh plasterboard along the side of the stairs, and a new red brick wall under the stairwell. Forensic scientist Dr. Edward Connolly tested the house for blood using luminol, a chemical that glows blue when it comes into contact with blood. No blood was found in the living room, none on the stairs, and none in Richard's car. Without blood or obvious signs of violence, Gardaí collected some items, including Richard's laptop and mobile phones. They did not break through the concrete under the stairs. They did not use cadaver dogs or excavate the property. The house was filthy, with dog feces on floors and furniture, unwashed dishes, and a bird cage that had not been cleaned in years. Over the following years, Gardaí conducted extensive searches across County Cork. On August 19, 2017, the Garda Water Unit, Irish Coast Guard, and Army personnel searched Joel Harbour at low tide and Scrubland near Gulf Links Road. In March 2018, A major operation took place at Mitchell's Wood in Castle Martyr. Over 60 Gardaí, Army engineers, and cadaver dogs spent nearly 2 weeks searching the 40-acre site. No one found anything. The investigation looked into more than 400 lines of inquiry. There were 60 to 65 reported sightings of Tina in Ireland and abroad. All were checked and none were real. Over 170 witness statements were taken, and 100 hours of CCTV footage were reviewed. For years, the case seemed to be going nowhere. Everything changed in August 2021. Superintendent Anne-Marie Toomey was appointed Senior Investigating Officer, her first time in this role. Along with Detective Garda Dave Kelleher, who coordinated the incident room, a fresh team from Cork North and West Division began a full cold case review. They re-examined all 400 lines of inquiry, rewatched all CCTV footage, reviewed all witness statements, and most importantly, examined the digital devices seized back in 2017. The laptop had sat unexamined for years. When Detective Garda Kelleher finally analyzed it in late 2021, he discovered something chilling. On Friday, March 24, 2017, the same day Richard reported Tina missing, someone had searched for quicklime on the laptop at 9:08 p.m. They watched a YouTube video called Quicklime and Water Reaction twice. Quicklime is a building material, but it is also known to speed up decomposition and mask smells in mass burials. Mobile phone data gave a second breakthrough. CCTV from Ewell Post Office showed Richard collecting social welfare at 11:10 a.m. on March 20th, not in Dungarvan, as he had claimed, but in Ewell. Phone location data confirmed he returned home immediately afterwards and stayed there from about 11:10 a.m. until 12:50 p.m. This 100-minute window directly contradicted everything Richard had said about his movements that morning. It proved he had been home at the time he claimed to be shopping in Dungarvan. Evidence, including the text where Richard offered Tina's cousin Sarah Howard the freezer, along with email and phone records, showed that much of what Richard claimed was false. By February 2022, Superintendent Anne-Marie Toomey concluded that Tina Satchwell was no longer alive and had died through unlawful means. However, her body had not yet been found. In September 2022, Superintendent Toomey asked Dr. Nemculla, a forensic archaeologist specializing in finding hidden human remains, to review the case. Dr. McCullough's report, submitted in September 2023, provided the final piece of the puzzle. She noted that killers in domestic homicides often create false stories and file misleading missing person reports. Female victims are usually buried very close to home, often within 1 kilometer. The changes to the Satchwell home seen in the 2017 photographs were a warning sign. She recommended a detailed search using ground-penetrating radar and cadaver dogs. On the evening of October 10, 2023, Gardaí arrived at 3 Grand Street with building contractors, excavators, and a full forensic team. Richard Satchwell was arrested on suspicion of murder at 5 p.m. The search began in earnest. A cadaver dog named Fern, a Springer Spaniel, immediately showed interest in the area under the stairs. Detective Garda Brian Barry, a ballistics and forensics expert, noticed that the red brick wall under the stairs appeared poorly built. Using strong lights, the team examined the floor closely. They lifted the old 1970s-style linoleum and saw a patch of newer concrete, different in color from the surrounding floor. Around 9 p.m. on October 11, 2023, the team broke through the concrete with jackhammers. At a depth of about 64 centimeters, they found black plastic sheeting. The excavation stopped immediately, and the forensic archaeologist was called in. The next morning, a human hand was uncovered. The team carefully excavated the full burial. At 11:30 a.m. on October 12, 2023, Assistant State Pathologist Dr. Margot Bolster arrived at the scene. By noon, Richard Satchwell was rearrested at a bus stop in Ewell. That evening, he was formally charged with murder. The remains were taken to Cork University Hospital. On October 13, 2023, dental records from Tina's dentist confirmed what everyone feared. The body buried under the stairs for 2,396 days was Tina Satchwell. Her Tweety bird tattoo was still visible on her chest. In the left pocket of her dressing gown was her wallet, containing her public service card and store loyalty cards. After the discovery, Richard dramatically changed his story. He told Gardaí that he had come in from the garden shed to find Tina at the bottom of the stairs, scraping plasterboard with a chisel. He claimed she attacked him, trying to stab him in the head. He said he fell backward with Tina on top of him and, to defend himself, held her dressing gown belt around her neck. According to him, she grew heavier, fell limp, and died in his arms. He said he held her body for 20 to 30 minutes while their dogs, Ruby and Heidi, licked her. After Tina died, Richard initially laid her on the couch for a day or two. When the dogs kept going to her body, he moved her to the chest freezer in their garden shed on March 22nd or 23rd. The freezer was unplugged. He was using it for storage, not to keep her frozen. Richard said he then began digging under the stairs in their sitting room. He described working like a robot from morning until night, leaving his knuckles bleeding. The grave he dug was unusually deep for a hidden burial, between 64 and 84 centimeters over 2.5 feet in sandy soil. On Sunday, March 26, 2017, Mother's Day, he claimed to have taken Tina from the freezer and buried her. She was wrapped in black plastic sheeting, still wearing her pajamas and dressing gown. The dressing gown belt was wrapped in a strange, unusual way around her neck, under her body, and knotted on her chest. Richard said he wanted to give her a burial with dignity. He claimed he tried to buy roses, but could only find tulips for Mother's Day, which he threw into the grave. He said he placed her wedding ring in her bathrobe pocket so she would know that the hand that killed her had also loved her. The ring was never found. After placing her in the grave, he poured about 1 meter over 3 feet of concrete over it. He later built a red brick wall next to the stairs and added new plasterboard to hide the burial. Richard Satchwell's trial began in late April 2025 at the Central Criminal Court in Dublin. The trial lasted 23 days with over 50 witnesses. Richard pleaded not guilty to murder. The prosecution described him as a manipulative and shameless man. The forensic evidence was strong. Dr. Margot Bolster found no fractures on Tina's skeleton. The searches for quicklime soon after Tina's disappearance showed consciousness of guilt. CCTV and phone location data proved Richard had lied about his movements. The jury also saw 14 video clips of Richard making tearful media appeals, professing his love for Tina, and insisting she was still out there. The defense argued that Richard lacked intent, and he did not testify. The jury began deliberating on the afternoon of May 27, 2025. After 9 hours and 28 minutes over 3 days, they returned a unanimous verdict, guilty of murder. Richard showed no emotion as Tina's family wept behind him. Mr. Justice Paul McDermott sentenced Richard to life in prison, the mandatory sentence for murder. After the verdict, Sarah Howard spoke for Tina's family. Tina was kind, loving, and gentle. She loved her animals, and they loved her in return. That is how we want her remembered. Today, we finally have justice for Tina. When Tina's remains were discovered in October 2023, over 200 people attended a vigil in Youghal, many bringing their dogs to honor her love of animals.
Tina would put a smile on anyone's face. She had a very bubbly personality and was a sociable person. She was always out and about with her babies Ruby and Heidi. She loved her fashion. She was always dressed so well. We will cherish the moments and all the great memories we spent with you.
Half of her ashes were buried with her brother Tom, and half with her grandmother, Florence. The case succeeded because of persistence. When Superintendent Anne-Marie Toomey took over in August 2021, her careful re-examination of the evidence finally brought Tina home. Tina is now at rest with her brother and grandmother. She deserved better than the life Richard trapped her in, and certainly better than the death he gave her and the grave beneath the stairs. Thanks to her family's courage in speaking out, Tina will always be remembered. If you want to support Tina's story and help spread awareness, make sure to like this video and share it.